Well, if you're here to become better speakers, then you're definitely in the right place. As I mentioned to Tom, that we really aren't so much big on the social gatherings or that sort of thing. We sort of do them, but really it's about becoming a better speaker. If you're here to become a better speaker, you're in the right place. Now, the challenge of becoming a better speaker is that you have to speak, as you may be aware. But for some reason, usually that doesn't quite sink into people, and they attend, which is great, good to have an audience, but they don't actually speak. And I was thinking about it using Tom's actual example of talking to the gym. Coming to a meeting without really having a speech ready is wanting to become a better speaker is sort of like going to the gym and looking at the weights and hoping to become more bulked up and stronger. You can look at the weights all you want, but it's not going to make you any better. Even if you stare at them really intensely and take notes on what those weights are doing, you're not going to get any better. It's the same sort of thing. You got to get up and you got to speak. But I get it. It's a challenge. What are you going to say? What are you going to talk about? If you happen to have a speech ready like Kenji, and you're going to be doing it in front of everybody, then of course you can talk about that. But if you don't have that speech, what do you talk about? Well, this is a common problem every Toastmaster faces, and every speaker faces. What do you talk about? And I was in the same sort of situation. I was kind of like that guy in the gym staring at the weights, hoping I'd get better. I joined Toastmasters, and I sat there, and I kept thinking, why aren't I becoming a better speaker? I'm showing up, I'm taking notes, I'm looking at people, I'm listening very carefully, even evaluating some people, but not really getting any better. Well, what's the matter? And then it occurred to me I needed to say something, right? Makes sense? You need to talk? So then the question is, what do you talk about? Well, week after week after week went by here, and I was sitting where you are now, and just kind of watching people. And all this time went by, and I kept on thinking, I gotta get up there and say something. But then you know how that voice in your head is? You say, I gotta get up there and say something, and then that voice is, well, what are you gonna say? I think, I don't know what to say. And the voice says, then you can't talk. Right? If you don't know what to say, you can't talk. Cena's got some doubts about it, but everybody else will. If you don't know what to say, it's difficult to talk. Or you can get up there and just keep on rambling and hoping everything will get better, but it's difficult if you don't know what to say. So this went on week after week after week. I kept showing up to meetings. And so there's a guy there, Rocky, who Pat knows, other people know. Maybe. He's got a short guy, he's got like black hair, he's a salesman. He's a little salesman. But he's also a helpful guy. So I went to Rocky, Rocky, I don't know what to talk about. What do I say when I get to a Toastmasters meeting? He said, Tim, well, what do you like? So Rocky, I don't know what I like. I haven't really thought about it. But Tim, well, that's the whole secret. If you find your passion, you find your speech. Think about that. Those of you who haven't heard this before. Mark, you're example. I think you've heard this before. But everybody else, think about that. When you find your passion, you find your speech. Have you ever noticed when you get really excited about something, really interested in something, you can just kind of talk on and on and on about it? Or maybe you've seen other people do that, like at a party. And they just start talking on about their favorites. I really like this, and I keep on going on and on about it. Maybe they're hammered and they just kind of bother everybody at the party about that subject. Kenji knows what I'm talking about. The rest of you need to get to more of these interesting parties. But that's what happens. If you can talk about it, you keep on going on and on because you're passionate, you're excited about it. It's not a problem to talk. And speaking is just having a conversation with your audience. I started thinking, well, what am I really passionate or excited about? I discovered I'm passionate about other people. I'm passionate about helping people get up. I'm passionate about giving little techniques, little tips to help make people better speakers. That's what I'm passionate about. And when I realized that, it became a lot easier to speak. I just get up, start talking about what I was really interested in. Here's how I become a better speaker. Here's what works for me. Here's what worked for somebody else. And I talk about that. And as I kept on speaking and speaking, just like the guy who goes to the weights and keeps working on the weights and working the weights, I started building up my speaking muscles. Tom's looking like not real muscles, right? Tim? You know, speaking muscles. Yes, speaking muscles, Tom, not real muscles. You're right. You're absolutely right. Started building up my speaking muscles. I just started becoming a better and better speaker. And the more I spoke, the simpler it was to me. I could just get up there, have that conversation with the audience. I was talking to someone I was passionate about, so I was interested in, so I really wanted to share with people. I really wanted to get it across. And so all the focus was out, not in. And with all that passion, all that excitement, interest, you're passionate about it, you're interested in focusing your audience, the audience will be interested in you. It became easier and easier to speak. And develop a system and help people develop their speaking every day. And so that's really all it is. If you just get up and talk about what you're passionate about, what you're seeing, maybe you aren't perfect the first time speaking, but you get up and you talk about it, you have that conversation with the audience back and forth, and once you start doing that, you'll discover your own speaking muscles will build up. It'll become simpler. Casual conversation becomes simpler too because you're automatically thinking in terms of back and forth, dialogue with the audience, back and forth, back and forth. You find that passion, you find that speech. But in order to do that, of course, you have to speak. It's just as simple as getting up and talking. So if you do want to join the club, that'd be great. Love to have you. But if you do join the club, think about it. You're going to write it down over and over again, as Mark's talking. And just figure out what your passion is. And once you figure out what that passion is, get up, speak.